Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Following the biggest offseason of moves and acquisitions by General Manager Howie Roseman, the expectations of this city have never been higher. Welcome to the 2022 Pond Lehocky Postgame Show on 6abc.com and across the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, exclusively presented by Pond Lehocky Giordano. Live from the Gallery Bar, booking games inside Ocean Casino Resort. Let's get this post-game show underway. EAGLES, Eagles.
And welcome everybody to the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show. Okay, they're 8-0. It turned out the way we thought it would turn out. Some anxious moments that we'll get into, but they defeat the Houston Texans 29-17 tonight. And listen, the game turned out the way we thought it was going to turn out. However, and this is the first time I'm going to start out with kind of a negative vibe. They gave up way too many yards on the ground, and it was not a great night for the run defense. 168 yards on the ground this Texans team got, and Dameon Pierce with 139 himself. But once again, they were 21-17, and what do? They get that drive that gets them out of harm's way and gets them an easy victory at 29-17.
Well, I think this is the kind of team we're going to have to watch the rest of this season, Mike. It's not going to be perfect, but they make the necessary stops. They got a couple of turnovers. Again, they are the number one takeaway defense in the National Football League. And they got the takeaways, the takeaway momentum. They capitalized when they had to on another young quarterback, another team with devoid of a lot of talent. So they got the job done. I always say, I don't care about a pretty win. I just want to see a win.
They get the job done every week, and I know we're going to pick it apart. I'm Mike Missinelli, by the way. This is Derek Gunn, and that's Seth Joyner. Now, Seth, I want to go to you right away because I know you were not happy with what you saw with the run defense tonight.
Well, listen, we talked about this, after last week's game when Jordan Davis got hurt, and it's even that much more magnified tonight. This run defense is just not the same without him. And they've got Derrick Henry coming up later on. If he's not back 100%, that can be problematic. They got Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, Dillon. You got all these guys that can just flat out run the football, and they just basically just ran right at us tonight, and we had no answer for it. So it's going to be problematic because, like I said before, when you can't control the run, then that opens up the rest of the playbook. And against a quarterback that really understands what he's doing and knows what he's doing, he could have caused a whole lot of problems for the Eagles tonight.
Well, this has been a theme for most of the season of their inconsistency in the run defense. And luckily they're playing inferior opponents when this happens. You're going to play some teams that can stand up to you. If I'm Tennessee, looking down the road, Derrick Henry runs the football 40 times against this Eagles defense. You don't know, we know Jordan Davis is out 4 weeks minimum. But when you're talking about a high ankle sprain for a guy who's 6'6", 335 pounds, I'd be surprised if he comes back within 4 weeks. Especially when your legs are a primary concern getting a push off when you're going in those trenches like that.
Oh, plus you're going to stay in shape.
You got to stay in
that's
shape.
a big
also,
fella, and he may
no
be
question.
susceptible to the cardio with the legs might not be the same as it normally is.
Yeah.
But first of all, I thought Jalen Hurts was great again today. I mean, not great, but good enough. He got sacked a few times. 21 of 27, 243 for 2 TDs. Miles Sanders, it's pretty steady, 17 for 93. And I think this team, and I keep saying it every week, they know they're better than the other team. And I just think, like, they get bored sometimes, and they go, okay, maybe they weren't at their ferocious best to stop the run.
Right.
Because deep inside, they know they're going to win this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, Seth, you hate to hear that, but that seems to be the case here. If you're playing the Houston Texans, you go, okay, they're hanging around, but we know we're not going to lose to this team. And sure enough, when they get close, they go, all right, let's go on a drive, and we'll score a touchdown, and that'll be that.
Well, listen, the offense is high-powered enough that they can make things like that happen. And as bad as they were, the defense was in the run game, they were that more efficient in the pass game. Javon Hargrave with 3 sacks tonight. Are you kidding me? 5 sacks in the last 2 games. We can talk about how sorry the offensive lines were the last 2, but a sack is a sack is a sack, okay? He is like just on a whole nother level right now. And then the secondary. 2 more interceptions tonight. They moved to plus 15?
At least.
By far, like plus 9 better than anybody else in the league. Just as long as you can continue to play, as long as you can equalize. If you can equalize on the offensive side, your deficiencies on the defensive side, and vice versa, then you're always going to be in position to win. And, we can talk about the deficiencies. I'm not going to – listen, I'm done beating this football team up about the things that they don't do. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody knows how I feel, okay? Again, we played against a young quarterback that just doesn't get it, and we did nothing as far as applying the pressure to him to force the issue. Yet and still, we still sacked him 3 times. We still intercepted him twice. As a matter of fact, we got 7 of the points that we scored off that turnover.
Yes.
So, what's there to complain about? Until the issues that besets this team that we see that we don't like, until those issues manifest themselves in a loss, I'm done complaining about it. I just am. They ain't no.
We were talking about Hargrave.
This would be great news for the Delaware Valley, by the way.
But
he's been getting broiled.
You were talking about Hargrave, and we're sitting there watching him just bull rush the Houston Texans young offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Sign that man now. We've been talking about guys who may not be coming back next year. Sign Hargrave right now to be a stabilizing force along that defensive line.
I don't know about that, D.
Why not?
Because
you got to keep him or Fletcher. Who do you want?
You're taking advantage right now
of
inferior players.
Exactly.
Okay? I want to see him do that against the Tennessee Titans. I want to see him do that against the Giants twice.
Right.
And the Dallas Cowboys before I sit back and
Right.
consider whether I want to, extend that guy. The funny thing about when you extend players in today's game, the minute you extend them, it's almost like they exhale, and all of a sudden they disappear. What the hell happened to Josh Sweat? We don't even hear his name anymore.
No.
After last year, he has a great half a season the year before. They extend him. Tell me how many sacks he's got now. How many pressures does he got?
I joke.
So I'm leery about stuff like that. I want to sign guys that are eternally hungry and realize that, the minute I give you the money, that's the time where you really got to play. Because if you don't, within the next year or 2, I'm going to be coming to you and telling you, hey, we got salary cap issues.
Yeah,
I need you to take a cut.
I think you're right about that. I think they
man.
realized that, too. That's why they went out and got Quinn. Especially that turnover differential. They put a graphic on at the end of the game. The Eagles are the first team with that kind of a positive turnover differential through the first 8 games since the 1972 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
So you know how great that defense was. So that's pretty impressive. The other side of that is, this is a team
Mike,
that
hold on one second.
Yeah.
It's one thing for the defense to be that impressive. It's a whole nother thing for the offense to be that impressive. I mean, you look at Jalen Hurts isn't turning the football over.
Yeah.
He had a fumble tonight.
First fumble.
Listen,
First fumble of the year for
I
the
don't
team.
know what the heck happened to Jordan Mailata tonight, but he looked like he was sleepwalking.
Not just tonight, last Sunday against Alex Highsmith. Had the same problem.
D-Gun. I mean, I'm standing here and I'm watching the guy run around him. And I'm yelling at Jalen. I'm like, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Because he's got one more tick before he can just slap the ball out of his hands. I mean, in the same series, you give up 2 sacks to Jerry Hughes?
2 sacks in 3 plays.
Jerry Hughes is 34 years old. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and actually Lane got beat on that one play, and we're going to have Lane Johnson on the show. He got beat on that one play, and he went for the ball instead of just burying Jalen Hurts down there. But, I don't know what else to say until they get challenged by a really good team, and we'll see what they're all about. I mean, we can look at that, and that's definitely a problem spot. Mailata, for the last couple games, has not looked like the steady left tackle that we were used to seeing. The run defense wasn't that great, but they're playing the Texans, and now they can just sit and not do anything except maybe wish the Phillies can come back in this World Series over the weekend where they don't have to stress themselves about playing an NFL game.
D-Gun, the one thing that I see with Jordan Mailata is, from a technique standpoint, when you're that big, you just want to maul people.
Right.
And the problem is he's jump setting a lot of these guys now. Instead of kicking and letting the guys come to him, he's not kicking. He's trying to jump set everything. And because these guys are so fast and they can dip and bend, they're getting around the corner.
Sure.
He needs to some time to refresh on his technique where he kicks and sits. And you got 360 pounds, the quarterback's back there. You got to come through me to get to the quarterback instead of me trying to jump set you and letting you get around me or overextending and you shooting up underneath.
Here's what I've seen from Mailata. He's a half second to a second too late getting out of his stance off the snap. The defensive lineman is beating him off the snap, and he knows the snap count. Now, this is 2 straight games. He had problems with Alex Highsmith in Pittsburgh last week, and he had problems tonight with old man Jerry Hughes. Now, I don't know if the shoulder is a part of the problem or not, but the bottom line is, it's like, why are you a half second later than everybody else off the snap of the ball?
So you mean to tell me it's not necessarily the crowd noise so much as it is, his reaction time?
Well, the other 4 guys are in sync. What's he doing?
Well, I mean, listen, when you're on the road, I can get it. Because, the further you get from the center, the harder it is to, kind of get an idea of what the snap count is.
Lane Johnson didn't have a problem on the other side. Come on now.
I tried, D-Gun.
No, look, Lane Johnson knew what the snap count was.
Plus, they had about 15 fans there tonight in Houston.
Exactly. She had more Eagles fans than Texan fans there.
Yeah, so, what do we where do we stand now? They're 8-0.
Yes,
they're
exactly.
8-0, and they're going to be probably 10-0, and we can discuss all these little warts, and it's appropriate to discuss them because we want them to step it up against a real good team that they're going to play. But, who is that team? It's going to be Dallas. It might be the Giants. I mean, I don't know. And at this point, I'm looking at them like they do just enough to get done. They're superior to every team they've played so far. They're superior to probably every team in the NFC. So I'm okay.
You know what? I couldn't agree with you more. And like I said off the top of the show, it's not going to be pretty all the time. But we can sit here and break down the negatives, as we will do each and every week. But the positives are this team is still standing where nobody else is standing right now, unblemished in the National Football League through 9 weeks of the season. Now, if they continue to do that, hey, be as inconsistent as you want if you get to 17-0 being inconsistent.
Listen, I just, there's no way that I can continue to beat up an 8-0 team. There's just no way. I mean, there's things that I see that I understand about the game of football that they do that I don't like, okay? But I also realize that it's an imperfect game, and the fact that they're still standing at 8-0 and everybody else, almost everybody else is, 1 or 2 games behind them, like I said, until some of these flaws manifest themselves in a loss, then maybe it's time to just back off, enjoy the ride, and see where it goes. But you just I know if I watch and I wait long enough that some of these flaws are going to manifest themselves within the framework, of a game in a 17-game
Yeah, no,
season.
Seth, I hear you with that because they're going to run up against a good team. Are they going to be able, against a good team, to be able to say, okay, we need a scoring drive here, let's do it easy peasy? Because that's what they have done so far this year, and they did it again tonight. I mean, that drive after the field goal was a beautiful drive. Jalen made some great throws. One against a middle linebacker blitz where he was way off balance. He flicks it down to Goddard. Goddard made a couple catches on that drive to get him out of harm's way to get to 29-17 after the two-point conversion. And they were 4 for 4 in the red zone scoring touchdowns tonight against the Texans.
See, I would say I'm more afraid of the defense not being able to make a stop when they need to than I am the offense needing to make a play. Need to make a drive, to save the game or to keep or to stay perfect. I just am, because I don't see within the framework of what they do the ability to really create pressure or the desire to create pressure beyond the four-man rush, and you're going to play against some much better offensive lines than you played the last 2 weeks. So you got away with 9 sacks, in the last 2 games.
Yep.
That's not going to necessarily be the case once you start playing some of these better offensive lines. And we've seen before where the four-man pressure, the four-man line, just not is enough to get done what you need to get done. Does Jonathan Gannon have it in him to dial it up when he needs to dial it up? We'll see.
I would like to take this time to also apologize to the Houston Texans because the last couple of days I made fun about the fact that I thought the Eagles would be 8-0 by halftime in this game. I thought the Eagles would be able to pad their stats significantly against the Houston team that is basically already playing for next year's draft. Houston gave them a game, and I give Houston credit. They came out here. They were on national TV. They knew they were at a severe deficit. They came out here and battled, made the game interesting for much of the game. They just don't have enough talent. But I tell you what, like I told you guys before kickoff, this young man, Dameon Pierce, that they have, this kid can flat out play. If they ever get some talent around him, I saw him go beast mode on his Eagles defense a couple of times. He freight trained a couple people. And what did he have, a $139 rushing in this game?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I'm not going to give them any credit.
Why not?
Why not? Because they stink. They're a lousy football team.
But you had to pay attention to them, Mike, for at least most of the game.
They had some moments tonight. They were
Mike, if you look at the same,
I think the Eagles allowed them to be close in this game.
Allowed them?
Yes, I'm not going to give the Texans team any credit for. Hey, the line was 10 on the game. They wound up losing by 12.
No, he's not asking.
He's
not asking you to give the team credit.
I said I'm apologizing. I give fun of the team.
No, you give credit to Dameon Pierce,
okay,
because I saw
runs hard.
I saw some Eagles defenders tonight that didn't really act like they wanted.
They didn't want tackle.
None of 31.
Maybe that's why he was so successful, because the Eagles weren't. They weren't rabid tonight on defense,
Mike,
against the run.
Come on, Mike. I saw a number of Eagles defenders doing this. When Dameon Pierce came, they were doing this. They were throwing chicken wings at him, Mike.
He's a good player, but what are we supposed to give the Houston Texans? A participation trophy?
Yes.
We get him a little gold cup that you get at Michael's?
Houston's whole season is a participation trophy, man. I just gave him credit for showing up and making the game interesting, not for losing the game. I just gave the Eagles a nice workout for most of the game. That's all I'm saying.
They gave him a workout.
It was
an inter-squad
That's
game.
all I'm saying, man.
Listen, let me give you some numbers to give you some perspective. Okay. Dameon Pierce carried the ball 27 times for 139 yards. For an average of 5.1. Okay.
Yes.
Do you know how many teams in the NFL would die for 5 yards of carry? Are you kidding me?
I'm not denying. I'm not denying that Pierce had
I
a good
understand
game.
that. So I'm just saying,
this team's a lousy team. The Eagles knew they were a lousy team, and they weren't playing with their hair on fire defensively against the run. Now, are they a team that is going to get beat that way a lot? You just mentioned Tennessee. Tennessee's going to run the ball against them, right?
If Tennessee rolls in here and Ryan Tannehill is still hurt and Malik Willis has to start, And Derrick Henry's going to come in here and run for 200 yards on this football team.
Well,
if they play run defense,
he'd be better because they're no good either.
It doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter whether he better or not. Okay. The fact is, if they play run defense the way they played tonight, with no imagination, with no movement, you're just going to line up and let both of your defensive tackles get double teamed and work up to the second level on both linebackers. They're going to get the ball ran down their throat. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
There was a big swing in this game, and that a good team may have taken advantage of, because the Eagles had a 4th and 2, third and 2, and Sanders' knee touched before they converted that first down, so they wound up having the punt. But then the Texans give it right back to him. Mills is intercepted by C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Graham got some pressure on him, and the Eagles get it, and they convert a real short field into a touchdown that gives them a 21-14 lead. That's the difference between a good team that they're playing and a bad team that they're playing. And it seems like every team they play has that bad gene that would make a mistake like that.
You got to play who you got to play. Mike.
No, I know. I'm just saying. That's a big swing of a game. I mean, that was an important part of that game.
Slide your chair over. We're gonna leave him out there on that island all by himself.
Mike. You know what? I try to stay neutral, but tonight,
what exactly am I saying wrong here? That team they played tonight was incapable of beating them.
I agree.
So we'll give them a blue ribbon or whatever that second place ribbon
Mike,
is.
all I said was I give them kudos for not quitting. A lot of teams basically go out there and go through the motions when they know they have nothing to play for, basically. They're not going to win this game. They knew that on paper. The Eagles knew they couldn't beat them. Houston knew they couldn't beat the Eagles. They went out there, but they made it interesting for a while. That's all I'm saying. And you took it to a whole nother level.
I didn't take it to a whole nother level. I'm saying that when you're a team that knows you're so much better than the other team, and I know we're supposed to compete on every down and this and that, they didn't compete to stop the run. They did not. You saw it. They didn't compete hard enough tonight to stop the run. He's a good player, but I think that was a major factor in him looking so good, and the Texans accumulated that many total yards.
Here's my concern, and we've talked about this several times. You start forming certain habits, those habits are hard to get out of. And Houston came out of the gate running the football, right down the middle, right down Main Street.
Yep.
And the Eagles didn't make the necessary adjustments to stop that from happening. Now, they stopped them occasionally, but they didn't make enough of the necessary adjustments to stop it from happening. Now, as we've just said, when you start playing some of the better teams, that could be a major problem. That's all I'm saying.
I totally agree with you. So, at this point, I look at this team, and, we came in tonight thinking, okay, there's no chance that we're going to have to talk about a loss.
Hey,
right? When you do a post-game show and you take that away from, it's like eliminating a fastball from the count, right?
We might need to, y'all might have to turn to a two-man crew right now.
What's that?
Because the Phillies are making a move right now, baby.
What is that?
In the 8th inning. 3-2, runners on the corners with 1 out, baby.
Well, that's surprising. Because it looked like they're.
Wait. Are you telling me you're going to abandon us? He said we're going to make a two-man crew. Are you going to abandon us or what? What are you going to do?
All right, but let's we got our man from the locker room. Lane Johnson is joining us from the locker room. I know these guys probably want to get on the bus and get out of town. But Lane, another kind of a routine win, although they ran the football against the defense pretty successfully. But again, you guys on offense seem to be able to do whatever you need to do to get out of harm's way. How'd you see tonight?
It was like really early. First time facing adversity. We came back and answered the bell in the second half. Like we ran the ball effectively when we needed to. It wasn't a pretty game. I thought we could have executed a little bit better. But credit to the Texans.
Hey, Lane, did you guys expect Houston to blitz as much as they did? Because it surprised us at how much they were blitzing. When you consider this Houston defense is at the bottom of the barrel in terms of overall stats, they basically played a fearless game. They basically said, we don't care, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Were you guys surprised they blitzed as much as they did?
No, I mean, they do a lot of stunning, and I mean, that's kind of how they schematically what they've been doing. So we saw that. Like I said, man, we could have done a better job executing. There in the game, it was just one of those games where it wasn't as crisp as what we liked, but at the end, got to win.
Okay.
Hey, Lane, Jerry Hughes was just, creating some issues for you guys tonight. It seemed like Jordan really struggled with him quite a bit tonight. He gave up 2 sacks in one series there. And I saw you kind of jump set him a little bit, and he came under on one and got a pressure. Jerry's been in the league a long time. I mean, did he surprise you guys in any way today, or was it a technique thing?
It's one of those things, man. At tackle, you live on the edge. So one overset, and you get beat inside real quickly. That's what happened to me on the last play. I didn't get a chance to see the other ones with Jordan. But no, Jerry Hughes has been a good player. I think he's been underrated his whole career, especially when he was with Buffalo. But yeah, I mean, it all goes down to technique. Overset there towards the end of the game. I like to have that play back. Other than that, though, I felt like wasn't too bad of a day for us.
All right, Lane, 8-0. It's pretty lofty, and now you guys get to relax this weekend. How do you approach not playing on Sunday and then looking forward to some teams that are going to – the schedule is going to get a little better in a little while, but for the next 2 games, it looks like you guys will have the edge. So how do you approach all this now? At 8-0, this is such new territory for a lot of people. How do you process it?
Yeah, man, you really take it one day at a time. And, really try not to think too much about it. I think you got to lean into, what your routine is. And you got to stand firm on that. So whenever, media and hype gets built up, we just stick to what we do and just practice hard, and that's really it.
Lane, to follow up on what Mike was just talking about, you get some extended time off, and you guys are in such a grind Monday through Sunday. When you get a chance to breathe this weekend, will you sit and watch other teams play, or will you get away from football altogether?
I really don't. I don't watch football like that. I made a joke. It's like a cop coming home from work and watching cops. I just, all I do is watch football 24/7, all day, every day. But I'll be watching the World Series.
Are you going to watch the Phillies this weekend at least?
Yeah.
Trying to survive right now, Lane.
Hey, yeah. I got faith in them. They need a couple strong games. I don't know what the final was today or if it's over, but I saw where Houston was up there towards the end. So got to bounce back, man.
Lane, we'll keep asking the question about complacency, because it seems like at times, you guys on offense can turn it on when you want to turn it on. And defensively, you turn it on when you want to turn it on. It's almost like you guys complement each other because you know when you need to go. And, and I mean, do you ever see that as being a dangerous thing at some point in time where it can kind of bog down, where you might not be able to get the engine started again when you really need to get it started?
Yeah, I think we've been used to getting, like you said, the first half we've been jumping out the gun, the second quarter especially, coming in with a big lead there in the second half, and it wasn't the case today. So made it for a much tighter ball game than what we needed. And I feel like defensively, they answered the bell there in the second half and bailed the offense out. We weren't being efficient enough, so I think you saw that, and the D-line getting after them. Javon Hargrave having a hell of a game. So yeah, man, hats off to them. Those guys won us the game.
Lane, listen, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, and get your rest this weekend. And
yeah, man.
You guys, you're 8-0. All right, nobody in the league is 8-0, and everybody's looking at you guys as the premier team in this conference. And I got to think that feels pretty good to a player who is on this team in that locker room.
Yeah, man. The season's flying by, so every game's important, especially the stretch coming up. So we know what's at stake, and man, so we keep foot on the pedal.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Take care, man.
We appreciate it.
Congrats, man.
That's Lane Johnson live from the locker room as the Eagles win 29-17. They were favored by double digits. They win by double digits. Jalen Hurts has a great game. The run defense was a little leaky. We're going to take a break. We got a big show for you right now, and we'll continue to update you if you're listening to the show. Like Seth's on it. Seth's on the Phillies update. Devin Katie's going to join us in a little bit with the Diamond Debate. It is the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. I'm Mike Missinelli, Derek Gunn, and Seth Joyner for live from Ocean Casino. And we're back after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Welcome back to the Lehocky Postgame Show. I'm Devin Caney, and it is time for our Diamond Debate presented by Mark's Jewelers. Guys, I have another incredible bracelet on today. I believe they call it like a paperclip style bracelet. It's light and airy, and it's modernized, just as the way the Eagles have modernized both their offense and defense this season.
Is that's diamonds inlaid diamonds?
I believe so, yeah, and it's gold. And I also have to shout out Seth Joyner for helping me put it on, because it was like an IQ test. I couldn't figure out the class. Not any fault to Mark's Jewelers, all fault to me and my brain. I just have Phillies, Eagles, man. Too many tabs open in the brain right now.
That's really nice. I like it.
Thank you. Yes. And you have some bling on. What is your? Do you have a pin? You have a Seth Joyner pin on today.
It's a little pin.
What's on it? What is it?
It's like a little flower.
Oh, okay.
You know, Seth
thought it was a shamrock.
Seth rocks the flower every now and then. So
well,
and sometimes I can't go that big. Because, I'm not as big as Seth, but this little pin I thought would work.
It works. It works.
Size fits all, man.
You can put that in a vase; it'll grow. That thing.
Well, between that and then like the blinged out tiger head, it's always a look with Seth.
Wait till you see what I got next week.
Ooh, I'm pumped. Okay. Our Diamond Debate topic is, I heard you guys talking about Jordan Davis and how much his absence was felt today on defense. So our Diamond Debate is, are the Eagles more vulnerable without defensive tackle Jordan Davis? Yes or no question for the poll's sake, and if you guys want to weigh in, you can vote on the poll on Twitter and YouTube, but also comment below if you have any additional thoughts. I guess to broaden it further, I mean, how concerned should we be for the next 4 or 5 games while he's out, in terms of our, especially like upcoming opponents? We have the Commanders, the Colts, the Titans, and the Packers. Is there anything the Eagles defense can do to kind of work to adjust to Jordan Davis being missing?
Well, I think if they're going to continue to struggle against the run, listen, but coming into this game, they were already giving up, I think, 114 yards per game. I mean, they got gashed tonight for 143 yards, 4.6 yards to carry on 31 carries. Not every team that they're going to face is going to be, created this way, where they're going to come out and run the ball more than they actually threw it. They only threw it 27 times. They ran it 21 times. That's an anomaly. But if teams think that they can make hay against this Eagles defense by running the football, then they will run the football. So how are they going to remedy that? I think that, you've got to trust your guys on the outside to play a little more man coverage, and if you're going to play more man coverage, then your defensive ends have to be more disciplined, and I think you have to drop the extra safety in the box. You have to run some gap pressures to make sure that you got every gap across the board taken care of. Everybody get in their gap, stay in your gap, okay, and the running back has nowhere to go. But the way they played tonight, the two defensive tackles, whether they were 3 techniques, whether they were, a 2-eye or a two shade outside or a 1-eye, they got double teamed. And D-Gun, it kind of looked like their run defense last year, where the linebackers couldn't figure out where they fit because, the double team was just so good on the defensive tackles that they got movement off the ball 3 to 4 yards. And by the time the linebackers reacted to what was going on, now all they had to do is come off and get on the linebackers on the second level. I mean, the linebackers have got to get to a point where they start to read, especially without Jordan Davis. They've got to read what the blocking scheme is, and the minute that you see that double team, they got to come downhill right now and pull the guy off the double team so that the tackle doesn't get out of position and you don't create these gaps and these lanes in the defense.
Here's what I saw a little bit too much. Their big money D tackles getting double teamed off the snap. Nobody coming up to fill the gap. Okay?
Absolutely.
And that's why this young running back, Damon Pierce, had so many good lanes to run through. You have to have better gap control in the trenches. And I'm telling you right now, you don't think other D coordinators, offensive coordinators are watching this right now? When you talk about a better collection of backs coming up, Saquon, Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry. This was a Houston team that was averaging 92.4 yards a game rushing. They busted up the Eagles defense for 168 yards. This 4th-round rookie behind a mediocre offensive line had over, 139 yards rushing in this game, 27 carries. The Eagles have got to find a way. Bottom line, they're going to be without Jordan Davis for quite some time now. They have got to find a way to plug the gaps on this defense, or somebody's going to catch them at the right time and make this game a lot closer than it should be.
I will say this, the technical flaws for one game is part of the issue. The other part is, I see the defensive tackles, in particular, Fletcher Cox, standing up too much.
That too.
That is something that helps a double team, because the more you stand up and you got 600 pounds pushing you,
yes,
they can get you positioned where they want to get you positioned.
Absolutely.
I mean, if as a defensive tackle, you're always taught if you get double teamed, take a knee where you are, you split the double team, and now, the linebacker can fit, and you're still going to be in your gap. But when you just stand straight up, you
lose your leverage.
You don't have any leverage, and that's my whole point. And I see that when the Eagles get in trouble via double teams on the two inside tackles, 9 times out of 10 is because they stand straight up and they're not firing low and staying low. So now the double team can move you easier.
Absolutely.
I think they needed to play a little angrier, too, on defense against the run. I mean, you're right. They 92 yards on the ground, Houston is average all year. And Pierce is a good player, but he hadn't done that all year. I thought their tackling was a little sloppy. They weren't disciplined at the point of attack. He ran through them a lot. So I think that's got to improve as well.
Mike, if you go back and you go back and look at his performance game by game by game by game. He's been building towards this all season long, because the first couple of games they started off, David Mills, was the focal point. When they realized that was too much for him, and they realized what they had in Damian, then they started to give him the ball a little more. And you could systematically over the weeks, you could see them giving him the ball a little more, and his production getting better and better.
He's very strong. The kid's very strong. He's a strong running back. So I thought they tried to tackle him high a lot tonight. I mean, they didn't chop him down, I didn't think.
You're always taught as a tackler, you don't try to hit a big man up high. You try to go low on him. I saw too many chicken wings flapping, trying to knock this man off balance. And it should have been evident early in the game, you're not going to knock this guy off balance on one hit. You've got to wrap up, and that's the problem. They do not wrap up when it comes to tackling. I don't get it.
Well, so this is a topic that I feel we actually haven't brought up, which is strange as an Eagles fan, at least in the past 2 seasons, and that is Jonathan Gannon and his defensive scheme that we love to debate so much. But how much of this, in this game in particular, do you put on Jonathan Gannon to maybe not adjust accordingly to Jordan Davis not being in the lineup? I'm watching too much baseball.
you just brought up Jonathan Gannon. He has not mentioned him once yet.
Right. We haven't. I feel like Jonathan Gannon
now planted
has been,
the seed instead.
I'm sorry.
Well, because I'm not trying to complain about the situation where it's not warranted. Listen, this is what I know, okay? When you lose a player of that stature and you're a smaller defense, okay, then you have to get creative. You got to do some slanting. You got to do some stunting. You got to run some run pressures on early downs, because, listen, the Texans didn't hide the fact that they wanted to run the football. They didn't hide the fact in the least little bit.
No, they didn't.
They came out and they ran it on first down. They ran it on second down. And if they had to, they threw it on third down. But if they didn't have to, if it was third and short, they ran it again. Okay? So now, what makes defense difficult when a team is running the ball against you is when you stay where you are and there's no movement in what you do. If the one technique is going to line up in 1, and the 3 is going to line up in 3, and your defensive ends line up where they line up, and your linebackers line up where they traditionally line up, well, pre-snap, you already know how to block them, okay? So if I slant my tackle down inside, instead of him playing the B gap in the 3 technique, if I take him across the face and I allow him to take the linebacker's gap and allow him to switch, now you screw up the entire blocking scheme. And are you taking some chances? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. But when you're getting beat with the run, the way they were getting beat with the run, sometimes you got to take some chances.
Yeah.
You can't just sit pat and be a sitting duck and allow these offensive schemes and these offensive blocking schemes to move you off the ball and move you where they want to move you.
Well, you're right. It's problematic right now because the Steelers rushed for 144 yards last week against them. So, it's kind of a recurrent problem. But again, Steelers bad team. The Texans a bad team. So I don't really know how to process it.
Someone commented, so we have to face Saquon Barkley, of course, and the Giants twice. Yeah. We have yet to play them. Derrick Henry mentioned, that we have a lot of teams that are actually talented, especially on the ground. And I guess what worries me about, and look, we're 8-0. It's a good problem to have, and I don't want to sound nitpicky or like I'm complaining, but I think if there is a concern, it's that both offense and defense, the entire team can maybe get complacent because you're undefeated.
But here's the thing, Devin. When is that going to manifest itself? I'm looking at the schedule and I see the Commanders, the lousy
when
Colts.
Derrick Henry and the Titans come and gash us.
The Titans are 4 games from now.
True.
So they've got a leeway of 3 games before they even get serious.
Look, Mike, I'm not used to having an undefeated football team. Okay, I'm my best here.
Let me say this, okay? The Eagles won this game by 12 points. Okay. We expected probably a bigger win. But if you're an opposing team coming up against the Eagles in the next couple of weeks and you sit and you watch this game film, do you not have hope and belief that you can beat this football team based upon what you saw tonight? So now, Mike, I see you smiling over there.
I guess.
But I'm just saying. I'm saying when I talk about the way that you win being a manifestation of future performance, these are the things that I'm talking about. I'm not trying to nitpick. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be a downer. I just know from experience that when you play a certain way all the time,
absolutely,
okay,
it'll bite you.
That's the way that you get used to playing, and you can't turn it on and turn it off. You're going to meet that one team that on that one day has everything going the way they need it to go. And you're not going to be able to turn it on the way you want to turn it on because you're not playing the most efficient and the most integrous way in every phase of the game.
You're not wrong at all. I'm just saying, when's that day going to arrive?
Hey, it happened through halftime tonight, 14-14.
Are you actually nervous that it was going to happen for the rest of the game?
No, because a 1-5-1 team is just that bad, okay?
And so the next team is Washington.
Okay, you can talk about Washington if you want to. They are a better football team with Tyler Heineke at quarterback than they were with Carson Wentz.
You're talking about running the football, though. We're talking about running the football. You're saying that a team that runs the football, the Eagles are susceptible to that. They could get beat by a team with a great running attack.
Absolutely, but they got Robinson and Gibson at full strength now, okay? So if they can come in and establish the run, now Tyler Heineke is a type of quarterback that could give you problems and almost beat you. They almost beat him in the playoffs a couple of years. You guys remember that? Okay.
Yeah, and Heineke can run a lot better than Carson Wentz can. I mean, we saw, especially earlier in the season, quarterbacks who are pass-heavy, Kirk Cousins. And I always think of what you said when we were watching those games, Carson Wentz, where you can get in their head, especially this Eagles defense. You can get in their head very easily. And to the Texans' offense credit, I feel like the Eagles defense didn't really get in anyone's head today. Yeah. They still found a way to win, which I think just further proves how good the Eagles team is.
All you had to do
was like a bad football.
All you had to do was look at Davis Mills. The two interceptions that he threw, he was under severe pressure.
Absolutely.
Okay? And mistakes happen when quarterbacks are under duress. That's why I say that you need to I don't understand teams that don't blitz at least or pressure at least 20 to 25% of the time in a game. It makes no sense to me, especially when you got young quarterbacks or a rookie quarterback or an inexperienced backup or a guy who's, pressure adverse. Turn the heat up. Only good things can happen.
But he's not going to do that, right, by now?
I know.
I told you that week one. I told you week one it wasn't going to happen.
It's just not going to happen. It's not.
But what did I say? I said I'm done. I'm done.
No, you're not.
Being on. I said I'm done being on the negative side of it. The team is 8-0. Okay. I'm just going to sit back and watch how this thing plays out because there's going to come a game, okay, where the lack of pressure And the passive nature of play calling is going to bite them in the behind.
I'm going to cover for you a little bit. I'm going to say you're not being negative. You're being constructive. And because everything is Camelot with this team right now, they're 8-0, a lot of people out there don't want to hear it. But what you're saying is factual. Look at who they played up to this point. They're going to play better running backs. They got a few better quarterbacks on their schedule. If they continue this trend, it's going to come back and bite them. There's no question about it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying with don't get complacent, don't get content, because then an actual good football team is going to come in and they're going to be the ones to beat the Eagles. All right, that does it for this week's Diamond Debate presented by Mark's Jewelers. Stick around because our drive of the game is coming up after this break.
Well,
hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing, the second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs, and then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My husband hadn't missed work in 15 years. His injury required months of rehabilitation, and unfortunately, the insurance company didn't see it that way. I was working 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough. One conversation with Pond Lehocky changed everything. We sat down, told him our story, and they guided us through the whole workers' compensation legal process.
Pond Lehocky. Tell us your story.
The faces you know, the team you trust. The Delaware Valley's leading news program, Action News.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction. Go with trust.
Go Birds!
And go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
welcome back to the Pond Lehocky Postgame Show. It is time for our Jeff D'Ambrosio Auto Group Drive of the Game. Go JeffAuto.com. This game, not so easy to pick out one drive in particular that was stand out for being good. Mike Misnelli, you look like you want to go first.
I always look at a drive that gets them out of harm's way. It happens almost like every week. So I look at the drive when the Titans got it to 21-17. It was like, okay, now it's real time. And they go on a 10-play drive, and they get in the end zone with Jalen Hurts making a couple of really good throws to his tight end, and then Miles Sanders taking it in. So that's going to be my drive of the game right there. He hit Goddard early in that drive, it was kind of in the middle of the drive, for a 17-yard pass, and he came right back to him for another 10-yard or 2 consecutive plays, which I thought was a really important drive.
Deegan?
My drive of the game, I'm going to go with the defense aiding the offense in the drive. Game's tied at 14. C.J. Gardner-Johnson makes the pick. 3 plays later, Jalen Hurts hits A.J. Brown wide open on the crossing route for the touchdown. 21-14 at that point. From there, it's all academic. So I'm going to say the offensive drive, aided by defensive takeaway once again, was my drive of the game.
Loved that pick. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's quickly becoming my favorite defensive player for the Eagles. I also love when the offense is able to capitalize on a pick like that. Seth Joyner, what about you?
Listen, I think that this was a game that the Philadelphia Eagles were supposed to win. They were destined to win, and I think we all knew they were going to win. I tell you, the answer after Houston took the ball and went down the field, 9 plays, 75 yards, and scored a touchdown right out the gate. The answer by the Philadelphia Eagles, 18 plays, 91 yards, ending with a 2-yard touchdown run by Miles Sanders. 8 runs, 10 passes. That was pretty darn impressive to me to answer right back out of the gate, but it's also a glimpse of how efficient this football team on offense can really be when they really want to dig in and get it done. If they can have that kind of balance of run to pass by Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni, there isn't a defense in this league that can stop them when they need to score points on the board. 18 yards is impressive. 18 plays is an impressive drive.
Yeah, there were a few impressive moments from the Eagles offense in particular this game, and what a unique feeling is Phillies also just lost 3-2 to the Astros. Throughout both of these games, I would find myself turning to the Eagles to be like, oh, this is a safe game to watch. Like, if I'm too stressed watching the Phillies, the Eagles are my safe option, which, again, I still can't believe that this team is 8-0, trying to focus on the positive here and not the other sports happening in Philadelphia at the moment. But, guys, I don't know. I feel like for the past recent years, maybe since the Super Bowl era, I've been watching the Eagles kind of through my hands, and it's strange. It's a strange phenomenon to watch the offense and be like, oh, this is actually okay to watch.
I'm so comfortable watching this team now.
Right.
It's like we've been conditioned to think that nothing can go wrong for this team. I've really never seen anything like it where, and a lot of it has to do with the competition. I get it, but they just seem to blend and have all the answers for whatever comes up. And I haven't had that feeling in a really long time about a team.
Here's what I'll say. Sit back and enjoy the moment.
Right.
Because they're 8-0. It's not flawless, but they get the end results when they need the necessary end results. I'd rather have that than to see teams that we consider very good teams like the Buffaloes, the Kansas Cities, who have their flawed moments and end up with an L instead of a W. So until further notice, I'm going to enjoy watching these Eagles perform because I think they've spoiled us in some ways too. They drive you nuts at certain points of the game, but all of a sudden you just turn it back on and put the finishing touches on it. So I'm not gonna be duped by this team until they give me a reason to be duped. Every time you're sitting there going, what are you doing? It's like, oh, okay, I feel pretty good right now.
It's at no point in today's game did I think they were going to lose to the Texans.
Exactly.
I think you're in a good spot when you're frustrated that the opposing team put up 14 points, which really, and they were tied, not even losing at the half.
But see, Devin, I have a question for you now.
Yes.
Are you okay? Because people don't know. When you watch baseball games with Devin, she basically has a paper bag breathing in a paper bag. I'm being facetious, but to watch her watch a baseball game is quite entertaining. because she's so intense.
Well, I got to be honest, it was stressful for all of us tonight.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about. I think that now that you can watch this show in a couple of ways. You can watch it live, and you can watch it streaming tomorrow or I don't think there were a lot of people watching us live as we started this show because the Phillies were in a death match with the Houston Astros, and they just lost 3-2. So
what a catch by McCormick!
Yeah,
oh my goodness,
it's a tough loss for them. So the people, I'm assuming a lot of people will join us live, and if you're listening like on a Monday, we're doing it live, and the Phillies were behind us. There was a collective groan. That as we were trying to do this whole debate in the collective groan, what was a ground ball final out, and the Phillies lost it 3-2 tonight in a really exciting finish. It looked like they were dead in the water at 3-0, and they got back to 3-2. They had runners on first and third in the 8th inning. They had Harper up in the 9th. They hit him with a pitch, and Castellanos gave him a good battle, but grounded out to lose.
Hey, that's the breaks in baseball. You're talking about one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball with the Houston Astros. They find a ways to get out. They came in here the last 2 games. I know we're talking football, but I got to talk a little baseball right now.
We'll talk baseball.
They came in here after giving up that first game 7-0, and they held this Philly powerful offensive arsenal to 2 runs over the next 18 innings of baseball.
Yeah.
That tells you just how good that pitching staff is.
We might have to settle for 1 parade this year instead of 2.
Yeah.
Because, like...
Well, what about the union? Won't you go to a union parade?
All right, a parade and a half.
Okay, parade and a half.
You know what, guys, it has been a wild ride. All I have to say is my favorite moment watching both these games, because we, of course, watch every Eagles game together, is I didn't even realize it. I'm sitting there stressed, and I think it was like through towards the end of the second quarter, all of a sudden D-Gun's like, is Devin okay?
She hadn't said a word like a half hour.
I hadn't said anything for so long. I was just sitting there like in the corner stressing out.
Listen, it's
baseball, man.
I'm trying to figure out, the mindset here. Yeah, we're down 3-2. We got to go back to Houston for 2 more games. You guys kind of make it seem like it's a done deal, like it's all over. Okay? If Houston can come here and win 2 games, what is it that makes you believe that the Phillies can't go there take 2 games in a row?
It's true, but I will counter with this. Do you realize who's pitching on Saturday for Houston?
I don't care.
I do. I do.
Listen,
I don't care.
There are all these metrics, and if you lose this game, you get down 3-2, you're probably going to lose the series, so you have to go back to the other team's park. I get it. You can still win 2 there.
Sure,
but the Phillies pitching right now, I think, is a little more on fumes than Houston's pitching would be.
Well,
in their home park.
we just don't have enough starting pitchers.
Right.
We're really
especially if your 2 aces haven't delivered.
Well,
that's the thing.
That's part of it.
In 3 outings.
But when you're stressed to the point where you only have 2 aces, that's problematic. So there are maybe 2 more aces away from. I mean, you really need 4 guys in your starting rotation to make it make sense. Anytime when you get to the 4th game in a 7-game series back to back, and you got to go to the bullpen, for your 4th game every single time, that tells you that you're a guy short. There's a problem.
I tell you, they manage. We're talking Phillies here. I'm sorry. And so we beg your indulgence. But I got to say,
hey, listen, Mike, we got 9 more weeks to talk Eagles. Let's just transition over to the Phillies.
Should we talk Sixers, Flyers, and Union as well?
Absolutely do not need to talk about the Sixers.
No?
But we can talk more baseball, more Eagles, more whatever else you want coming up after this break.
But
yeah, I love that the 4 of us just had to process the Phillies lost on live TV streaming. New experience, but much more to unpack for all Philly teams.
Devin needs to unwind.
I need to go. Yeah, I need to go take a lap.
Decompress.
She's going to have a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, you know what? I will, Seth. I am going to have another one.
Hey, bring us some too, would you please?
I will. All right, stick around because the post-game show is coming up after this break.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
And welcome back to the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show. I'm Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner on the set. The Eagles win 29-17. Just to give you a couple numbers here. Jalen Hurts, 21-27 for 243, threw for 2 touchdowns, was sacked, interestingly enough, 4 times for 26 yards, and his QBR was 75.4. We're going to get to the 2-minute drill in a little bit, and I have a question based on him getting sacked tonight and where there might be a problem on that offensive line. Meanwhile, Miles Sanders, another good game, 17 for 93. And the receiving, A.J. Brown made a couple really good catches today, 4 catches. Devontae Smith a little quiet, 2 balls for 22. And Quez Watkins got into the act tonight with a couple snares. But Dallas Goedert, 8 for 100. Very consistent from week to week as the Eagles offense. 243 in the air and 143 on the ground. For the Texans, Dameon Pierce, 139 yards, 27 carries. And this has led to some consternation on the panel about the Eagles' run defense, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And who's the kid? This kid Moore. Where did he come from tonight?
Chris Moore.
I don't know who the heck. You're talking about Brandon Cooks decided he didn't want to play tonight.
Yeah.
Nico Collins was out this game tonight, and the next closest receiver had 159 yards receiving on the season. And all of a sudden, this kid named Moore, we're like, I had to look twice at the roster to see who the heck he was. He had a great game tonight for them, but it was one of those nights. Houston, very limited in terms of what they could do. Tried to run the football. They were successful at that. The receiver, Chris Moore, had a decent game for him tonight, but still not enough to take down this undefeated Philadelphia Eagles team. We can sit here and talk about how much the Eagles have to work on defensively, and they do. Luckily, they have an offense that takes a lot of pressure off of their defense. It's an offense that forces teams to pass the ball a lot more, which gives the Eagles defense, even though they don't blitz enough, it gives their four-man front a little bit more time to get home because you have so many guys dropping back in coverage, i.e., Javon Hargrave tonight had, 3 more sacks? Mm-hmm. He had 2 last week, 3 more tonight. The game plan defensively for them tonight was very similar to what they did against Pittsburgh on Sunday. Build a lead, make a young quarterback, force his game, and, of course, it played to their hand.
Looking at this game and what they do, let's lead it into what I call the 2-minute drill. I'm going to give you guys some quick-fire questions on some things that we just kind of touched on. So here's the first one for you guys. Will this run defense prevent them from winning a game against an inferior opponent?
I'm going to say no. Not against an inferior opponent. Well, describe inferior. Do you consider the Giants, or since they already beat Dallas, do you consider them
Giants
inferior?
are not inferior. Dallas is not inferior.
Tennessee?
Inferior.
You think? Yes, and
the best thing they do is run the football. So I guess in that context, no, they wouldn't be inferior.
They've won 5 in a row. They started 0-2. They won, but they have no quarterback basically. I say no. I say that it's going to keep making these games more interesting than they should be. But because their offense is so diverse and so explosive, and we talk about A.J. Brown, $156 one game. Dallas Goedert comes back 100 the next game. Then it's Devontae Smith. Then it's somebody else. I think this offense is so talented, so diversified that they'll finish the job for the defense. So I'm going to say no.
All right.
When it comes to inferior
Let's
opponent.
kick it up.
Okay.
Will their run defense prevent them from winning against a superior opponent?
Ooh.
That's for Seth. I'll tee that one up for you.
I would say, absolutely there's a chance for that to happen because, when you looked at the first quarter, D. Gunn and I was looking at each other and it was like, man, the first quarter just flew by and, both teams basically had 2 possessions apiece in the whole first quarter. Well, you had a 9-play drive by them answered by an 18-play drive by the Eagles, all encompassing, over 40% third down conversions and running plays. Okay, so if you add all of that together, really all it takes is for the Eagles, to have, 1 or 2 bad possessions. Let's say they get a holding penalty on second down that sets them back behind the chains, and now they can't convert. They're not in position to convert on third down, but the other team gets the ball, and they drive 10 plays, score a touchdown. Same thing happens again. You come back, you get a fumble, you get an interception, and all of a sudden the team runs out, the half, and you're down by 14. Can you come back? See, these are the scenarios that I always think about, when I look at the deficiencies, in the defense or the offense and how they operate, because I know what can happen. You can be up in a game, especially so much more in today's NFL than any other NFL. The way that the rules are set up, throw in a PI, penalty that nets you 50+ yards, and all of a sudden, the game that seemed like it was way out of reach is now all of a sudden within reach again because you just ate up 60 yards on one play, and 2 plays later you're in the end zone, and now instead of being down by 2 scores, you're only down by 1. It can all change like that.
By the way, John McMullen, who covered the game in Houston, is going to join us in a bit, but we continue the 2-minute drill. So let me ask you about this. Jalen was sacked 4 times today. He squirmed out of a couple other ones. Most of the problem was coming from that left side. is left tackle with Jordan Mailata, who hasn't played that well this year. I mean, last week he wasn't special either. Is left tackle suddenly a problem for the Eagles?
I don't think that it's a problem. Something's going on there, that maybe we're not aware. Maybe that shoulder isn't 100%. Maybe he can't extend and punch the way he wants to, so he's not setting the way that he normally sets. He looks like he's trying to do a whole lot of jump setting where he gets on the guy right now. The only problem with that is if you got a shifty guy, a fast guy that can go either way, or a guy that can bend and twist, a miss and you're in trouble.
So you're saying with jump setting, you're jumping into a position where you think he's going to be?
Well, listen, let's be honest. Even on run plays, the tackles don't get down to three-point stance anymore. They're lazy, and they get up, they're sitting in a two-point stance 9 times out of 10. Well, when the ball is snapped, you're supposed to kick back and create space so that now you can set and battle the rusher. But sometimes what the rushers like to do, instead of kicking, they like to quick set him and get on him right now. Well, if that guy's anticipating it and he's 6'8", and you got a guy that's playing in the 6 foot or 6'2", 6'3", all he's got to do is dip the shoulder, and he's going to miss 9 times out of 10 because you try to quick set him. So the quick set is something that you do to kind of throw a pass rusher off. It's not something that you can live with. And the fact that he's doing it more than not tells me that there's something else wrong with him physically that meets the eye. Now, I want to make a comment about Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is listen, I love what this kid is doing. And I'm not going to sit here and put those 4 sacks on him, because 2 of them came in one series where Jordan Mailata gave up 2 sacks back-to-back to Jerry Hughes. I'm not putting those on Jalen Hurts. I'm just not doing that. I mean, look at the kid's numbers tonight, man. Are you kidding me? 21 for 27, 2 touchdowns, 243 yards. That's taking away, the 28 yards worth of sacks, okay? Although his QBR is 75.4, his rating is still 128. So I'm not going to put all of that on him. I think the kid is playing fantastic. I think he's playing fantastic. I just think that Jordan Mailata needs to get his act together, and make sure he locks down, that left side like the left tackle that we know he can be. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know whether it's injury or the shoulder's not 100% or what the circumstances are. But he needs to figure it out, and he needs to figure it out fast, because teams are going to start coming after him.
The one glaring weakness that I've seen from a lot of the last 2 games has been he's having difficulties getting out of a stance at the snap of the ball, and these edge rushers are dipping up under him and getting around him like he's not even standing there. Before he even has a chance to set his feet, the edge rusher already has him on his hip, and he can't extend his arms to get leverage against him, and by the time he does, they're already around him. This has become a pattern now over the last couple of games. Now, granted, it's 2 games in a span of 4 days. Is the shoulder a problem? If it is, I doubt very seriously if the Eagles will tell us that. You're not going to give away an advantage, especially when you're counting on him to play more so than sit on the bench. But if it is a problem and it continues, then it could get worse sooner than it will get better. Now, I know Andre Dillard is going to be healthy soon, and I'm not saying it's time to bring in Dillard. But what I am saying is, if you watch this pattern closely, you might see a change at the left tackle position.
Wow.
Well, that's
stunning. I would just have to say wow, because I watched Andre Dillard last week, at the 9-minute mark left in the game, and they put him in the game. Still looks like the same Andre Dillard to me. So I can't see that. I can't see them signing Jordan Mailata to the type of money that they signed him to. I think that, he would have to have a serious medical condition for them to make that move and create that controversy.
Well, don't forget, Andre Dillard's a first-round pick making good money also. You got a first-round pick sitting on the bench.
Yeah, he ain't getting no $64 million.
No, he's not. But you know what? If the shoulder, and again, that's a big speculation. If that shoulder is a problem, the more he tries to play with that thing and try to extend it, the worse it could get before it gets better.
Well, listen, I tell you this, D-Gun. There's a myriad of different ways that you can help remedy the situation.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You can play more 12 personnel and give him help. with a check release from the tight end on that side. You can do the same thing with a back. You know, you can put line the back up over there and give him a chip as he releases, you know, as the safety valve. There's a whole lot of things you can do if that's the problem. If you're trying to mask it, there are ways to mask it.
Sure.
But to just line up in a predictable passing situation, like in that series where they got sacked back-to-back times,
yeah,
you know, they didn't make any bones about it.
Yep.
Everybody in the stadium and everybody watching knew that they were going to throw the ball. Jerry Hughes wasn't playing the run. He was playing nothing but the pass. So if you're going to do that, then at least give him the help that he needs if something's truly wrong with him. If nothing's wrong with him, go back to technique this week. Work on your technique. Work on your footwork. Work on the little small things. See, this is the thing about technique, you know, that I think that when teams get to a point where they have their bye week, it's one thing for the coaches to self-scout and go back and look at what they've done over the last, you know, half of the season, 6-7 games of the season. You know, for the Eagles, 6 games. It's another thing for you as a player to realize that through OTAs and training camp, you do a lot of technical work, a lot of technique and fundamental work.
Right.
But once the season starts, you don't really work on those things as much as you. Every once in a while as a player, you have to go back and you've got to refresh your body, the muscle memory on those types of things. Just small things like if you're playing linebacker, you know, taking a read step instead of overstepping and crossing over. Work on your back pedal and you're getting in and out of your break as a defensive back. Learning, you know, refreshing, you know, stemming your routes at the top so you can create the separation that you need as a wide receiver. The little small things, the little small details that coaches work on during OTAs and the offseason, once the season starts, they kind of go by the wayside. And if you're not really a technician at these things, then you need to go back every few weeks and brush up on these. And maybe it's one of those situations with Jordan Mailata where he just needs a little technique brush up.
Well, if there's anybody to get him right, it's Jeff Stoutland.
Oh, I promise you he'll be right next week.
Because as Lane Johnson told us a few weeks ago, earlier in the season, you know, what did he say? I wish you could be a fly on the wall, and how we got cursed out by Jeff Stoutland for not playing up to expectation. You talk about a man who's committed to details and the little nuances to make an offensive lineman better. If there is something going on with Mailata, and I think there is because we've noticed this now twice in the span of 4 days, they'll get it corrected sooner rather than later.
All right, here's a kind of a offbeat 2-minute drill question. I happen to think Goddard is playing tremendous football right now.
Yeah.
Considering all the circumstances, the age, how he fits, would you take Goddard or Travis Kelce right now?
Oh, man. Oh, man. I'll let Seth answer that one first.
I take Goddard, and I'll tell you why. That offense is tailored for Travis Kelce more than anybody else in that offense, okay? There's a symbiotic relationship between he and Patrick Mahomes where a lot of what he does is ad-lib things, you know? When you look at the relationship between Dallas Goedert and Jalen Hurts, you know, it's a much more defined relationship as to how the offense works. That's pretty evident when you look at the distribution and what they do, you know, with the offense. You know, listen, A.J. Brown had a big day week 1. They come back week 2. Devontae Smith has a huge day. You know, then you go back last week and all of a sudden, you know, A.J. Brown explodes again against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You come back tonight and you see Dallas Goedert with 100 yards receiving tonight and a touchdown. So if you're talking about Travis Kelce in this offense, then you got to tweak some things and change how you actually run your offense to accommodate him, because that's what Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that's how they work together to make that offense as prolific as it is.
Hold on to that thought, D, because I want to get your opinion on that as well. But let's talk to the man who covered the Eagles down there in Houston, Texas. And here's an interesting part. We're getting to John McMullen a little late in the show because apparently the Eagle players who were supposed to be interviewed, they were all in there watching the end of the Phillies game. So it delayed the whole process. But here's John McMullen joining us from Houston. John, they're 8-0 now, and we've been picking at it a little at the carcass about they didn't stop the run tonight. But how did you see tonight's effort?
Yeah, I didn't love the game plan. I thought they should have came in running the football early against the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL against the run. I thought that made sense. Not that they couldn't pass the ball. They kind of could pass the ball at will. But they made some mistakes, typically, that they haven't been making. They lost their first fumble of the year, which is kind of amazing that we talked about that in game number 8. There were some missed throws from Jalen Hurts early, but then the receivers really started getting wide open, particularly Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown. Miles Sanders, when they finally did go to him, really clicked in the running game. But, I think there was a little bit of at least taking the Texans a little bit softly, and I think that haunted them. But we talked about, and Seth knows, we talked about this in pregame, they're going to miss Jordan Davis. They went away from the 5-man fronts very early in the game, and you could see Dameon Pierce was gashing them early. Then they played more Marlon Tuipulotu and even more Marvin Wilson inside, and it was a little bit better. But those guys aren't Jordan Davis. So they lost some versatility, at least for these 4 weeks, and hopefully Jordan is only out for the 4 games. They lost some versatility with those fronts. And, they don't tackle well on the back end. So if you don't get things done up front in the rushing game, this team's going to struggle to stop the run.
Hey, John, when you talk about the tackling or lack thereof, once again, you see too many guys trying to throw shoulders into a big body running back, trying to knock them off their stride. That's not going to happen. Too many chicken wings being thrown. Basically, I said during the game that a couple of times, Dameon Pierce basically beast moded a lot of guys on this Eagles defense. When you talk to the players, what do they tell you in terms of why the tackling has been so porous?
I think from the player standpoint, and even Jonathan Gannon more so, he hasn't played up. I think the advanced stuff, Pro Football Focus, Football Outsider, stuff like that, says they're a bad tackling team. They don't think they're a bad tackling team. I don't know why.
Wow.
Because that's been the one aspect that it's pretty evident that they don't tackle well. But look, I think it's a give and take. I really do. Because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson again with an interception, and that was a great interception. He's a playmaker. Darius Slay's a playmaker, not a great tackler. James Bradbury is a playmaker, not a great tackler. Even Kaiser White is a playmaker linebacker. He's not a great tackler. It's kind of a give and take. And in the modern NFL, they want to give away tackling to make those big plays and to stop the passing game. That's where the Eagles are. And I can't necessarily disagree with them because they're 8-0. But, we have to talk about everything involving this team.
Right.
So if you want to talk about what they don't do well, there's not a lot. But I think defensively it starts with tackling.
See, John, I think that's a philosophy that I don't buy into, because there's not, every single game is not going to present the opportunity for you to be a playmaker unless you create the stress, by first shutting down the run and then applying pressure to the quarterback that allows you to be a playmaker, okay? So the Eagles have been really good playmakers against the teams they've played. I got some numbers for you. The combined record of the 8 teams that the Eagles have played is 25, 36, and 1, okay? Now, I know that they can only play who's on the schedule, but that kind of gives you an idea of the level of talent that they face for one. And my thing is, okay, what kind of adjustments are you going to make that allows you, to create the kind of stress that you want to create? Like tonight, you had an opportunity, and I'm not trying to take anything away from what they did. They got 3 sacks, all by Javon Hargrave. They got 2 interceptions, one by CJ, and one by James Bradbury. Okay, so the things that I assume they deem to be important metrics, they're meeting those metrics right now. But what happens when you play against the upper echelon quarterbacks that don't make those types of mistakes, and you play against a running game that can be as efficient, as it needs to be, considering you played against a bad offensive line today, you played against a second-year quarterback who's scared to death, and you played against a running back who ran like his hair was on fire and dared you to tackle him today?
Well, number one, I would ask you a question, and that's who are these mystery teams? Because the Eagles, other than Buffalo and Kansas City, the Eagles beat Minnesota, who was the second best team in the NFC. Now, I don't believe that, but by record they are. Dallas, I believe, is the second best team in the NFC. They beat them, granted with Cooper Rush, but they won the football game, and Dallas beat everybody else with Cooper Rush. They managed to win the football game. So I would say, if you look at the Eagles and the NFL, other than Buffalo and Kansas City, who meets that definition? They can only play who they play. So
agreed.
That part of it isn't going to be answered until the Super Bowl, potentially, because that's the only place you're going to face Buffalo or Kansas City. And maybe they're better. And, if you ask me who the best team in football is today, I would probably lean towards Buffalo over the Eagles. However, I think the Eagles could beat them if they had their A game on a particular day, and Buffalo showed up with maybe their B game, their C- game. I certainly think they could beat them. From the standpoint of, what they need to do better defensively, I think you saw it. I think you've seen it all season, and you saw it again today with Davis Mills. Yeah, he is skittish as all get out when it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12. The drive's over. The kid's got no internal clock. When he does throw the football, and I've been talking about this all year, that's the Eagles' whole plan. When they get you in 3rd and long, they're really, really good. When it's 3rd and 3, like it was early in the game, and we saw last season, they're not very good. But they're like everybody else. So the goal is to get to 3rd and long, and they were doing that really, really effectively. Now we'll see if they can do it as effectively without Jordan Davis. But when they did get there tonight, they shut down Davis Mills at every turn. He had no idea what was going on. No idea.
John, on that note, because we talk about this all the time, and Seth, rightfully so, is worried about when they play a good team, are they going to be able to cope with some of the flaws that they show against these inferior teams? And so my question to you is, if they play a better team, and you're right, that you go, who's this team they're going to need all this ammunition against? And when they get to Dallas, they will. Obviously, maybe the Giants, they will. But is it possible that they know they'll need to step up to a higher level? They won't have to be complacent playing the run against a team like the Houston Texans because they know they're better. They may not think they're better in a match against Dallas and play completely different. Add some pressure. Be better against the run. Am I missing something here?
No, I think you're right, because every time there has been a sense of urgency in certain games, the Eagles have answered the bell. I don't think there was a sense of urgency. I think it was natural to take this team for granted. I think they did. And ultimately, talent won out. And when the Texans got down 2 scores, you said, okay, that's it. Game's over, basically, because they're not equipped to play from behind. Now, was it a little bit disappointing that the Eagles let this team hang into this game until the 3rd quarter? Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing, but it's also a little bit understandable. If you talk about the early week, they're the team traveling 1,500 miles, not the Texans. So that plays into it as well. They don't practice. And look, I said about the coaching staff, I didn't love the game plan. They came out with tempo, throwing the football all over the field. Maybe that was to get Jalen Hurts some feel-good moments in Houston. When you're facing a team with a 32nd ranked run defense that's been historically bad in their first 7 games, and you run the ball better than just about anybody, to me, that's common sense. All right, not every week, but this week it made sense. And the Eagles didn't get to that until their second scoring drive. Their second scoring drive, it was 8 runs in the 10 plays. They ran right down the field. They converted the 4th down. They scored. And they went right back to passing the ball. So I didn't think this was Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni's best game plan of the season.
You know what, John? We talked about it in the pregame, and I said the same exact thing. I looked at Mark Forzetta, and I looked over, at D Gunn, and I said, "What is the Houston Texans run defense ranked?" And everybody chimed in, "Oh, they're 32nd in the NFL. They're dead last." I was like, I'm going to the prop window right now and place a bet that the Eagles come out and throw the ball 10 times in a row, because it just doesn't make too much sense to look statistically at what's obvious that you can have and not game plan along that road, rather than trying to do the opposite and bring in the pass rush and create, the stress early in the game that you don't need. Because, and I say that because we can talk about the teams that, that they're better than. It's one thing to turn it on when you need to turn it on. It's another thing when you face a game and all the stars are on the line and everything isn't aligned the way that it needs to. And you know that they're not going to go through a 17-game schedule where all of those things are going to fall in line the way they need to and the way they want to when they want it to. There's always that anomaly. There's always that team. There's always that opponent that has your number. So why not just look at the statistics and say, hey, this is the worst pass run defense, in the National Football League. We're going to run it down their throat. We're going to shorten the game. We're going to score on every single possession, and we're going to bring play action alive. Why not just do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of it. You talked about the anomaly. You always have upsets in the NFL. That's why the Eagles are the only unbeaten team. There's 31 teams that have lost, even those good teams. Even Buffalo has lost. Even Kansas City has lost. Everybody except the 72 Dolphins has had that week where somebody came up and bit them, no matter how good they were. And some of that is the coaching staff. Some of that is you get a little bit too haughty at times and say, all right, we're going to do this. We can do what we want. We want to get Jalen involved in Houston. I'm not saying that's what happened, but, who knows why they went the direction they went the way they did, but it didn't make sense. When you're facing the third, I'll give you an example. Jody McDonald on Birds 365 gave me an over and under of 77 yards on Dameon Pierce. I said over. Give me the over. He's all Houston has. They know Jordan Davis isn't there. They're going to run him. He's going to break off a yard to get a couple big runs against a bad tackling team. That's the easiest bet in the world for me. It's exactly what happened. The Eagles didn't take the obvious path. The obvious path was this team can't stop anybody running the football. And by the way, they didn't stop the Eagles running the football. The Eagles ran it at their will. When they did run it, they ran it very well. So it didn't make a lot of sense.
Hey, John, because we don't have access to all the post-game comments, I digress to you, sir. So in the final analysis, what did Nick Sirianni say about his team's performance tonight?
Well, he was happy to get out of here with a win. I think at any time you're an NFL coach, you know how difficult these Thursday night games are, especially on the road. So I think he's happy to get out. Look, this team's been around since 1933. It's not like they were born yesterday like the Houston Texans, who have one guy in their Ring of Honor, Andre Johnson. They've been around for a long time. And this is the first Eagles team that started the season 8-0. So it's not easy to do that. And I think he understands that. And I think he understands they didn't play their best football tonight. But they were able to get out with a win. Now they have sort of a mini bye. They can correct some things, especially defensively with those fronts. And hopefully They do a better job handling Jordan Davis's absence. But man, you don't get extra wins for style points. So
right.
It's the NFL. It's not Louisiana Monroe against Alabama. It's not Wofford against Clemson, like I said on the pregame show. These all have good teams. And you saw Dameon Pierce, and you saw Jerry Hughes. Jerry Hughes gave Jordan Mailata fits.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's 34 years old. He can still rush the passer. I would have gave up a 4th-round pick for him, not Robert Quinn, if they could have made that deal. And who knows? He was on the trade market, but who knows what Houston wanted. That guy can still play. Laramie Tunsil is a great offensive tackle. They still have good players, and all NFL teams have good players.
John, thanks very much for sticking around. We appreciate it. Have a safe trip back from Houston, and let us know if they're greasing any light poles in Houston at this point. I don't even know if they have any light poles. Be honest.
When I was walking up from the locker room, it was like you would think the Texans have won because they were celebrating a World Series victory that they don't have yet, but they have a 3-2 lead.
Yeah. They need 2 more. Oh, need 1 more anyway. John, thanks. We'll talk to you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. It's the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show. Plenty to come. We got game balls to give out yet and other stuff. Be back after this.
My wife was in an accident that changed our lives forever. She was in rehabilitation for years. She had to learn to walk again. She couldn't take care of herself. We couldn't afford a nurse. We were running out of options. One conversation with Pond Lehocky changed everything. They understood what we were going through and immediately helped us navigate the legal process. We can't thank them enough.
Pond Lehocky. Tell us your story.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community. A sports roundup for the locals. And the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
It's a fall car fest, and Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, says, yes, you can. Jeff says, yes, you can choose from over 1,000 vehicles in stock with no wait. Yes, you can still get low prices, leases, and big discounts. Yes, you can still get low interest financing. And Jeff always says, yes, you can have a real deal buying experience without the hassle. When the other dealers say, no, you can't, Jeff says, yes, you can. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Jeep Adventure Days.
Did you know taxes could be your biggest expense during retirement? Are most of your assets in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks? Taxes are historically low today, but we're facing significant headwinds in the future. Do you have a plan? The Thrive Financial team has more than 100 years of experience helping people across the Delaware Valley with forward-looking tax planning. Learn how to shift your money from forever tax to no or low tax accounts. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
And thanks for staying up with us on the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show live from Ocean Casino, wherever you're watching us, on 6abc.com or on our YouTube JAKIB Sports channel. Let's look, guys, at the schedule. I always like to look at the schedule because we're kind of obsessed with these flaws, whether they would show up against a really good team. And I don't see a good team until they actually play Dallas, and that's late in the season. So I may be misguided, but Seth, you had the stat up there. The teams they've played so far are like 10 games under 500 collectively. So now we got the Commanders on Monday Night Football, which gives the Eagles a lot of time between games, from Thursday to Monday night. I'm curious whether you think that would hurt them in any way.
I don't think so. I think, it gives them time to kind of make the corrections and try to, give Jonathan Gannon some time to kind of remedy what he's going to do as far as the running game is concerned. Because, listen, you can look at the Washington Commanders and say whatever it is you want to say. They've played better ever since Tyler Heineke has come in and taken over for Carson Wentz. They got Robinson back. He's at full strength. He missed the first 4 games of the season, so he didn't play the first game. You still got Antonio Gibson, who ran the ball well when we played him the first time. And they've got a pretty good wide receiving core. So they're going to look at this game and believe that they can make some hay on the ground. And if they can do that and keep the game tight, then down the stretch, there's an opportunity, for them to have a chance to win. Now, do I give them a chance to win? Hell no. But what I give them a chance to do and what I think they can do means absolutely nothing in reference to what they actually believe. If they believe that they can go out and get it done and they go out and they fight for 4 quarters, anything can happen. I've been around the game long enough to know that. So as you look at that, listen, Jonathan Taylor, you got Washington, you got Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor's not 100%. They just traded Naheem Hines. Green Bay's got 2 really good running backs. And if they would just make a commitment to running the football, I believe that they'd be a better football team. But when you're playing, Aaron Rodgers $50 million a year, there's this sense that he's got to throw the ball, and you got these young wide receivers who can't figure it out. Just run the darn football. So they could be a problem running the ball. You already know that Derrick Henry is going to be a problem running the football. You already know that Saquon Barkley next is going to be a problem running the football. You already know that that Pollard is probably going to supersede Ezekiel Elliott the next time that you see him. So that could be a problem. So people can say whatever it is that they want to say about the teams that's coming down the road, but I can tell you right now, if they don't get this running game fixed, then the offense is going to have to bail this offense out down the stretch. And I promise you, somewhere along the way, there's going to be a hiccup in the road.
Derek, Washington, at Indianapolis, Green Bay, Tennessee, at the Giants, at the Bears, at Dallas. How do you feel about that run of teams coming up?
When you go from let's go from Washington to the first meeting with the Giants on December 11th. Each one of those teams, to put it simply, as Seth just said, they have parts. They don't have a whole. Washington has a decent running game, have the wide receivers. I'm not afraid of Taylor Heineke. You look at Green Bay, they just busted through Buffalo's defense for 183 yards. Buffalo's one of the better run defenses in the league. Green Bay ran for 183 yards. They don't have a passing game. Their defense has been porous against the run all season long. All right, you look at Tennessee. It's all about Derrick Henry picking up a head of steam. Are you afraid of Malik Willis, quarterback in that team? He just threw 10 passes in a game. No. And they barely scored 17 points against this same Houston defense. They barely scored 17 points. Okay, so then you look at the Giants. Saquon, yes. Are you afraid of Daniel Jones? No. The 2 big factors with the Giants, the head coach and the defensive coordinator. Brian Daboll has got this average offense believing in itself. Wink Martindale has an average defense believing in itself. It is all equated to the Giants' record. So we don't have a whole team, I think, that can stand up against this Eagles team when it still doesn't play up to its capability. But the operative words are when it doesn't play up to its capability. at some point, somebody's going to catch them napping at the wrong time.
See, D-Gun, and I want everybody to understand we're really talking in hypothetics here.
Absolutely.
Because when a team is 8-0, it's hard to dispute what they've actually put on the field. Now, these teams might not have, you know, they have the parts, like you said, D-Gun, but they don't have the whole.
Yes.
But I think everybody would agree and everybody understands that if you can control the ball
absolutely
by running the football,
absolutely,
then you make life so much easier for a Daniel Jones.
Absolutely.
You make life so much easier, you know, for an Aaron Rodgers, a guy that's seen it all and done it all, and a Tyler Heineke. All of these guys, the game becomes that much easier for them if you can't get the run game under control. Now, the Eagles haven't been perfect against the run, but they've controlled the run enough to apply enough pressure in the passing game because of what the offense has done to be effective. You know, and what we're doing is we're just trying to shoot holes in this thing and trying to figure out, you know, where these pieces and how all of this comes together and where to apply it.
Right.
Because if you get a team that comes in that can dominate the clock, that can dominate the line of scrimmage, okay, and minimize, you know, the Eagles to 7-8 possessions in a game, all it takes is 2 or 3 penalties, you know, for that team to be right there in the midst of it all when it's all said and done in the fourth quarter.
Prime example, Mike, look at what Cleveland just did to Cincinnati. Cincinnati has the superior offense, even though their top receiver, Jamar Chase, didn't play in that game. What did Cleveland do? Ran all up and down the field on Cincinnati's defense, right? Made that game a lot closer than it was. And what happens? Cincinnati had no counter. Cleveland blew them out in a shocking upset. So a running game does have its benefits if you can just have a couple of other things go your way.
Yeah, listen, they have to shore it up, especially with Jordan Davis going. I totally understand that. But, you know, they're sailing along. I don't think the Commanders give them any problem. Indianapolis, I think, is really a disaster right now. And so is Green Bay. And maybe Tennessee can stun them at home if Derrick Henry goes off. But let's take a break, and we're going to give away – I'm sorry?
I said any given Sunday.
You know, with this team.
Great movie, by the way. Great movie.
Team.
That's why you play the game.
This team is not an any given Sunday team, is it? Where they can actually lose? You get that vibe at all from this team?
They're spoiling us right now.
They really are.
They are spoiling us right now.
All right, let's take a break. It's the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show. Game balls are next. Who are we going to give our game balls to?
Ooh.
Come back and check it out after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia Dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Welcome back to the Pond Lehocky Postgame Show. It is time for Game Balls presented by Colony Pools, flywithcolony.com. Guys, we're going to give away some game balls, but first, I know Eagles won, but we are still a little sad about the Phillies losing while we were live. I brought you guys some chocolate chip cookies from our green room. To
you
make you feel
get the game ball, no question about it.
Oh my God, I've never gotten a game ball before in my life.
Yes,
Thank you.
You bring chocolate chip cookies, you get the game ball.
Look, we were all sad. We all had to process that.
I'm definitely having a chocolate
needed
chip cookie.
some comfort chocolate chip cookies. Yes.
Don't be generous, Seth. You know you had like 5 of them.
Listen, I don't need no chocolate chip cookies. The Phillies about to go down to Houston and do work.
Seth being
What does
positive.
that have to do with you enjoying a chocolate chip cookie? Well, why are you spoiling the moment?
Because she went upstairs to get chocolate chip cookies for comfort.
Because Seth was looking out for me, and he said Devin needs to go get a chocolate chip cookie.
She needed comfort food.
I did.
So she brought the comfort food. Look at y'all over there eating like y'all like you just lost your best friend.
What did she just say? She said she brought them for us. So basically, you turned the gift down is what you just did.
See, there you. Why you always trying to get technical?
Seth, keep talking. I got a cookie to eat.
Yeah, really.
So Seth,
I
why
can't
don't
hear
you
you.
give us your game ball tonight?
I can't hear you while the cookie's crunching.
Well, you know, one would think that, you know, I would look to the offensive side to find, you know, my game ball to go to. But I'm looking at Javon Hargrave because I think that he's putting some pressure on the rest of the defensive front with 5 sacks in the last 2 weeks. You know, the way he played tonight is the way that Fletcher Cox needs to wake up and play. The way he played tonight is the way that Milton Williams needs to step up and play. In the absence of Jordan Davis and their inability to really run their 5-man front the way they want to, then other guys are going to have to step up and get the job done, because it's pretty evident that they can't live in a 4-man front as much as they want to. They want to stay too high safety. The problem is when you go too high safety, you get teams look at the box and realize that, you know, you got a 6-7-man box or a 6-on-6 box, and they're just going to run the ball at you. The other issue is, you know, I told you I wasn't going in on Jonathan Gannon. I lied, Okay.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was too good.
We almost made it through the show.
She asked you for the ball in the game.
No, I already told her. Javon Hargrave.
Oh, okay. All right.
Eat your cookie, man.
All right, good. I can't hear you. I'm crunching.
Just looking out for you guys. Letting you guys finish your cookies.
So this is my last observation of the night. There were a couple of times where I saw the Texans in 13 personnel. That's 1 back and 3 tight ends. But we were still in a nickel set. And the DBs were back off the ball 5 to 6 yards. So that means you've got 5 down linemen, 3 tight ends, and a back against 4 down linemen on the defensive side and 2 linebackers and maybe a safety that's hovering around. You don't have enough damn people in the front to stop what they're running. Okay, if they're going to go 13, take a safety out of the game and put an extra linebacker in the game so you can get the darn run under control. I mean, go ahead.
Okay.
You done?
We're done.
Oh, I'm done. I'm about to have me a cookie.
You got
in a
it,
minute.
Jonathan Gannon coming in with
your
like
game
10
ball
minutes
was
to go.
Jonathan Gannon. I lost my train of thought there.
Not just no. Hell no.
Well, as I listened to your dissertation and enjoyed this incredible cookie provided by Devin Caney and, of course, Ocean Casino, I concur with you, my friend. But game ball has to go to Javon Hargrave.
You were about to say Jonathan Gannon.
I was about to say Jonathan Gannon. Almost caught me. Javon Hargrave. He took advantage of an inexperienced offensive line today. Basically because the offense built them that lead, forced the other team to throw the ball a little bit more. Hargrave pinned back his ears and took control of the situation. 5 QB sacks in the last 2 games. Some of his defensive line mates need to watch what he's doing on film and up their games because it's not happening. Seth, Mike, you have heard me for weeks talking about this 4-man pass rush is not good enough by itself to get home.
I've read some of your tweets to that
extent,
too.
Thank you.
Yes, I did.
Thank you for reading my
tweet.
tweet.
Your tweet about that 4-man, how you don't like that 4-man.
I do not like the 4-man front. If you consider the money they have invested in that 4-man front, it is not producing the way you think it should produce. But Javon Hargrave definitely gets my game ball tonight.
All right. Well, listen, I got to go with the tight end, Dallas Goedert. 9 targets, 8 catches, 100 yards at a touchdown. He's been consistent every week. He was really important on those drives, those long drives that they had tonight. But I will also mention his compadre. Devin, you love when I go here. Jack Stoll.
I knew it.
With a catch for 13 yards. So they got 113 yards out of their tight ends.
Wait a minute.
You know what? People have been worried about the depth at tight end with the Eagles because Dallas Goedert has had a few scary moments in recent weeks where we think he might be injured. And Jack Stoll
put Jackie in there.
Yeah.
They put Jackie in there. He always gets a snare.
Right. Did you
21 long for Goedert
Did you forget the block that Jack Stoll missed?
That's a good point. Valid point.
With Steven Nelson on the end of the line.
Former Eagle Steven Nelson.
Where he threw a lookout block and got Jalen Hurts sacked. Forgot about that one,
did
right?
I give Jack Stoll the game ball?
No.
I just gave it to Goddard. I said my man added a catch. That's all I said.
Seth, have a cookie.
You can't add him. Listen, you can't add him to the mix when you do something like that. Come on, man.
Try to get a gratuitous mention with a guy that never gets mentioned, and it's probably not that important.
Once he does something honorable,
I'm generous.
Once he does something honorable, then you can give him an honorable mention.
For people tuning in, so like I don't remember you giving Jack Stoll a game ball before, but apparently you did. When we're watching the game, Mike's like, Jack Stoll, my guy. And I'm like, what?
They had a double tight with him in there, too.
Why?
When you put Jackie in a game, you can't defend both tight ends.
So, yeah, Jack Stoll's his guy.
What?
I'm being facetious here. It's late. It's 3 o'clock in the morning for crying out loud.
It's 1:15, but yeah, close.
Wow.
Close.
All right, so 29-17, they win the game. Another win over a team they're much better than. I'm getting used to this because next week's going to be the same thing. They play like it's a month from now, by the way, so the next game is going to be a really long time. So I advise you to keep the Eagles on the front burner. Or no, keep the Eagles on the back burner. Keep the Phillies on the front burner because Seth Joyner actually thinks they can pull it off in Houston with winning 2 games in Houston to shock the world.
Hope springs eternal. And if you don't have faith and you don't believe,
let me write down
then you have absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why are they even playing? Why are they even going to get on the plane and go back to Houston if they don't believe that they can go down there and win
Springs
too?
Eternal. Can we get that in like a quote graphic? Whoever's doing this for social.
Like y'all never heard that before.
Saith joinereth.
Seth, listen, I actually agree with you. If Zach Wheeler can be Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
And if he can, they can win Game 6. And if they win Game 6, who does Houston pitch in Game 7? They're going to trot out that McCullers again?
No, Houston's pitching their whole arsenal. Whose arsenal do you like better, Houston or Philadelphia?
Well, I like their arsenal, but they got to have a starting pitcher.
It doesn't make a difference as long as they don't pitch McCullers. It doesn't make a difference.
Well, they're going to pitch McCullers.
Like I said, my biggest concern is what is going on with Wheeler. Because you've slid him back way too much now in a crucial situation. There's something that's not being said about Wheeler. You know, you can only give a pitcher so much arm rest, okay? We thought last night giving Alvarado all this extra arm rest was going to do the job. What happened? His first pitch, he hits a guy, gives up a couple singles. All of a sudden, I'm sorry, Devin. I didn't mean to bring up that nightmare again. I apologize.
It's okay. It's
Have
okay.
a cookie.
No, eat both of them, Devin. Eat both.
Thank you. Thank you. I will.
Listen, disappointing tonight with the Phillies.
Don't hit me, Devin,
but
please.
all good with the Philadelphia Eagles as they roll on to 8-0. They're being talked about nationally, and we're having fun following this season. Really, right here at Ocean Casino. So thank everybody for staying up with us. If you're watching the show live, thank you so much. If you're streaming it, we hope you appreciate the show and our viewpoint on your Philadelphia Eagles today. For Derek Gunn, for Seth Joyner, for Devin Cady, I'm Mike Missinelli, live at Ocean. Have a great rest of the night, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Jim Gardner is an icon.
A Philadelphia treasure.
He's a mentor, a pace setter.
Jim is my North Star.
He's trusted, revered.
Appreciated.
He is Action News.
He's compassionate. Honest.
And fair. He is extremely dedicated, motivated, and always seeking the truth.
He's also funny. We are a team of many.
Jim Gardner is our leader.
And we're lucky to have him.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not charging anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givnish. Life Celebrations by Givnish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.